In this session, we're going to discuss support audits. These are audits that look at areas that, logically, support the main operations. These can include office operations, like back offices for businesses that have more than offices, transportation, which can be business travel, employee commuting, or shipping of products and supplies, and the supply chains that provide the materials used in the products, equipment like computers and machines involved in manufacturing, and consumables like paper and pens. By the end of this video, you will be able to conduct a support audit for an organization. This includes office audits, transportation carbon footprint worksheets, and sustainable supply chain worksheets. Let's start with office audits. Why is this important? Well, from lights to air conditioning and food waste, offices account for almost 20% of all commercial energy consumption. And the average office worker generates about 2 pounds worth of paper and paperboard products every day and uses 10,000 sheets of paper per year. Wow. There are a lot of great office checklists available from credible sources on the internet. In this session, I'm going to review a few of them. This first one is called the Green Office Checklist. As you can see from the slide, it was put together by a small office in Chicago and is intended for use in similar environments. This particular audit has categories for paper, kitchen, supplies, waste, meetings, transportation, energy, water, and indoor air quality. This is a nifty checklist in Excel that was developed by MIT. There are drop-down menus for noting your answers, and it is automatically scored. It also has some interesting categories like leadership, health and wellness, and the innovation lab. It was developed for an educational institution, so be sure to tailor it for your needs. There are also a number of checklists from credentialing organizations, like the one from Green Seal, whose normal focus is on certifying eco-friendly products. They have a program called the Green Office Partnership, in which your business can become a partner by engaging them to do a third-party audit. Or you can just use their easy, straightforward checklist. It has some unique sections, like staff education. You notice a lot of these audits are just check marks that you are doing it or you are not doing it. This makes it very quick and easy to do these. Now it's your turn. Select one of the office audit checklists to use for your workspace. Now let's take a look at transportation audits. The office checklists we just reviewed do not require you to do much measurement or calculation, so it's important to take a deeper dive into some of these areas that have a significant impact on the environment, like transportation. So why is this an important area? Well, transportation to and from home to work and from work to conferences and business meetings is significant. In addition, think about the transportation required to get materials and products from their point of origin to your location to the customer and to their end-of-life disposition. As you can see, there's 390 million gallons of gasoline per day, plus 197 million gallons of aviation gasoline. Cars, SUVs, and small trucks account for about 92% of gasoline consumption, and it has a number of impacts on the environment, not just greenhouse gas emissions, but other emissions. This is a simple but comprehensive transportation audit checklist. It covers company-owned vehicles, employee commuting, company travel, and company shipping. Completing the calculations in the form will give you a total carbon footprint. Then you can identify where the biggest problems are and the biggest opportunities for improvement. This is a detailed checklist with a focus on airline travel. Again, it provides clarity and transparency on the number of airline miles traveled and their impact. This allows businesses to evaluate whether there are unnecessary trips, which helps ensure the triple bottom line is helped, not only saving money and reducing greenhouse gas emissions, but also allowing people to stay home with their families. Now it's your turn. Select one of the transportation audits and estimate your personal transportation impact. Lastly, we're going to take a look at our business's supply chain. The supply chain for a business is the process of getting goods and services to the right place at the right time and in the right condition. But sustainable supply chain adds while minimizing the impacts on our natural and social environments. The United Nations has done some relevant work when it comes to human rights. The 10 principles in the United Nations Global Compact are derived from the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, among other documents. So there are 10 principles. The first 2 reflect the ideas of respect for human rights. The next 4 support different aspects of labor, including support for unions, which is freedom of association and the right to collective bargaining, and prohibiting forced labor, child labor, and discrimination. Then we have 3 principles that address the environment, using the precautionary approach, promoting responsible stewardship, and encouraging new technologies. And the last one challenges us to work against corruption. Some of these, like child labor, are not common in the US, but they are pervasive in other countries, and we should be aware of our suppliers' practices in all of these areas. Otherwise, we could suffer the same embarrassment as Nike or Apple did when they got terrible PR for outsourcing to suppliers who had abysmal treatment of employees, the community, and the environment. Here is another set of supplier issues that can have an adverse impact on the environment and the community. HR with valid pay, working conditions, health and safety, hazardous chemical use, transparency, environments, in the environment, the products in operation, and in the environment, packaging, raw materials use, and action planning. Are they taking continuous improvement actions to make sure that they are better in all of these areas? This is a supplier evaluation based on the issues in the last slide that was developed by the New Zealand Business Council for Sustainable Development. You can find these things everywhere, all over the world. It is scored on a scale of 1 to 5, with 1 being high. Always note which one is the high end. And the form has detailed criteria under each of the categories for each level. In the supplemental readings, you can find the scoring criteria in the Business Guide to a Sustainable Supply Chain, a practical guide, on pages 22 and 23. Well, it's probably not feasible for you to fly to Indonesia or China, or even to another state to investigate the sustainability of your key suppliers. Nor would you be able to see the problems, since the suppliers are not going to open up to you on their failings and flaws. The best option is to use the evaluations by third parties who travel around the world doing supplier quality and sustainability audits. These are expensive, but may be available at a cost if they have been done for other users. The next best option is to require suppliers to complete a questionnaire, such as this one. Good suppliers will complete it with integrity, but there should be some integrity check on the validity of the data. The questionnaire asks suppliers about their policies, their packaging, their transportation and shipping, environmental policies, resource efficiency, their product, and their documentation. And this is a fairly easy supply chain checklist that you can complete with a little research. You may be able to get most of the information from supplier websites and technical data sheets especially if the suppliers are proud of their sustainability efforts. Otherwise, you may need to call the supplier to request this information. You're probably not going to have time to do this on all of your materials, products, and supplies, so prioritize your efforts. Now it's your turn. Research the supply chain for one product that you are using in your workplace and your business. You need to consider all aspects of a business when looking to improve its sustainability. This session covered 3 important support areas that you should address when trying to green your organization, including office audits for companies that have a back office, transportation audits, looking at employee commuting, company vehicles and travel, and supply chain audits, reviewing the environmental and social practices of those companies providing you with materials and products that you'll incorporate into your products and services. Now that you've had a chance to get some exposure and practice with these instruments, think of how you can start to implement them in your workplace. This is a great place to start making positive change.